The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to or watching live UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. And this is the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Povtvin. Hang on, guys. I got everything with TikTok almost except the live monitor. I'm just getting that open now. We're good to go. Like I said, I'm Lorilei Povtvin. A little bit about myself. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, as well as a registered nurse. I'm well versed in near-death experiences, having studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. I'm working on my animal communication. Also extremely well versed in the paranormal. I always say, didn't go looking for it, it found me. And we've shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor, Season 4, Episode 9. It's called Demonic Hauntings. You can find it all over on YouTube, everywhere, all over the place. And I also like to give a huge shout out to Carnation. They sponsor all the shows here live on Mondays. It's known as Carnation Mondays here on UPRN. So Carnation is a global brand. So if you're out doing some shopping and you come across a product that you may need off your shopping list, and Carnation provides that for you, consider please supporting them because they support all the shows here on Mondays. And we really, really appreciate Carnation for doing that. So thank you. Check my checklist here. Make sure I don't forget anything. If you guys want to watch us, we do have a TV channel. So how you can do that, I should say you can watch us on your TV. So you go to Roku and you're going to go to the channel store and type in UFO space P as in paranormal. And there's a drop down list. You're looking for UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio. And that's how you can watch us. Now, this network does broadcast to every country in the world. Believe it or not, it does. We had a massive audience last week. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in. It was crazy. I think it was one of the biggest numbers I've ever had with the show. I know that our owner of the network, Joe Montaldo, has added a few more servers to the network, so that helps. So I want to give him a huge shout out for that. But yeah, so it's been around a long time. It's been around 25 plus years. So we do stream multiple shows daily live here, 7 days a week. And when we're not streaming live, the archive server does kick in. So we actually are almost live 24 hours a day. We're on YouTube. We also have a website, which is www.uprntalkradio.com. It's getting revamped. They're still working on it. It was pretty big job, I believe, with all the shows and new hosts. We're always adding new shows and new hosts. But I hear there's a chat room coming there. So that's one place you may be able to join us if you can't watch us. And I hear there may be a merch store coming. And just remember, it's not all just UFO and paranormal on the network. We really do have something for everybody here. We're always adding new shows, new hosts. So check that out. Now, if you are listening, because like I said, with broadcasting to every country, overseas, 80% of our audience is audio only. So if you're listening live and you're going, well, how do I join in the conversation? I'm hearing Lorilei and our guests this evening. We're going to be talking to the audience and reading your comments and questions and what, but you're saying, I can't comment. I always say you got to see us to join us. So I'm going to rattle off quickly where you can join us if you'd like to be part of the conversation, because this show is audience participative. We'd love to have you here. So under my name, Lorilei Povtvin or The Angel Rock, you can go to my Facebook profile, also my LinkedIn, my YouTube is The Angel Rock with Lorilei Povtvin. We are also streaming to TikTok this evening under, I believe it's Lorilei Povtvin, The Angel Rock over there. For the network, under UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio, we are on our Facebook page, our main YouTube channel. We are on Twitch, and we are also streaming to our guest's YouTube this evening, but I will let her know about that as well. Let me see, did I forget anything. No. Oh, well, one thing I do when I do, and I'm probably going to do it throughout the show a little bit. You guys, you've heard me mention this before about Whatnot. Now, this isn't paid or sponsored or anything. I've just met some really incredible people over there. I'm a bit of a collector myself, love Labubu's and things like that. So I've met some really cool sellers over there. One of them is named Blindsy. Have giveaways. They do really great prices. So say you are a collector, and you don't have to be a collector. They sell everything. I've seen people doing tarot readings on there. There's crystals. There's anything you can possibly think of. They sell it over there, but it's live. It's interactive. Whatnot seems to really stand behind not selling any fakes. If you are doing something like that, you're yeeted off there pretty quickly. I was showing our guests this evening, just like they're kind of hard to see with my lights, but these are kitsune or light up little boxes. They're collectibles. So just some of the things I've gotten over there. So I want to give a huge shout out to my Blindsy. So if you can check them out, really nice sellers, a couple that are doing it. And I absolutely love Mind's Eye, Minzai. I believe they have a store. There's a website. I think it's a global name for that name, though. I could be wrong, but I think it is. I've seen it before. But super nice people over there, you guys. So please check it out. If you want to, let me know, because I can send you a code, and you guys will get a little extra money to shop with over there and help you on your way there. So I'll probably mention them again throughout the show. I think I remembered everything. Did I? I want to read our wonderful guest's bio. She's been on before. She's become a good friend, and I'm so glad that she's back this evening. Her mama was on, I think it was about a month and a half ago, and I loved having her on. I will have her on again. So Annette Beckham, known to many in this community as Azria, is a writer, frequency translator, and founder of Alarian Resonance. Born into a lineage of Celtic matriarchs, she has perceived the world differently since childhood, sensing energy, recognizing patterns, and engaging with intelligence that extends beyond the visible. Her work sits at the intersection of lived experience, channeled transmission, and the emerging science of consciousness. It is shaped as much by her journey through trauma and reclaimed sovereignty, by her multidimensional contact experiences. Her debut book, which I believe is coming out this month, The Frequency of Truth, goes deeper into the part contact memoir, part consciousness framework. Sorry, I got an itchy nose, guys. And asks the question at the heart of everything she does. What if the sensitivity you've carried isn't a flaw, but a coherent biological response? Through Alarian Resonance, Annette offers frequency field transmission and frequency mentorship sessions for those on the deeper path. Her message is simple and consistent. You are not broken. The sensitivity you carry is a signal, not a noise, or not noise, and the frequency of truth has been within you all along. Welcome, Annette. I'm so glad to have you back on.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for a while, so thank you.
Oh God! Now they're giving me a hard time. This has been the second week in a row. They keep telling me gift suspensions and all this stuff over on TikTok. It's like I haven't done anything wrong. I don't know why you guys are doing that, but they did. So, anyways, we'll ignore them for that. Let's say hi to everybody first. I always say hi to everybody when we get in here. You'll see me if we're speaking, and I can't stop the conversation. You'll see me if you're watching. I'll just wave and I'll highlight your name so you know I saw you. So we got Z-Sun Dragon, or Kevin. I love to call him by his muggle name. I always tell him. So he's here saying hello. We got Kiara Jade. Let's see. Mish is here. I always love to tease Mish lovingly. I always say she's joining us from the future because she's over in Australia, and it's Tuesday morning over there. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We've got Astrolight Paranormal, which is Victoria. She's been on the Angel Rock before, and we'll probably see her again. I was saying in October, it's spooky month here, obviously, and around the world it usually is if you celebrate Halloween. So we try to do spookier things, and I've been thinking it might be a really cool show to do. Not that we're leaving out the men, but it'd be kind of cool to have a kind of a whole panel of women talking about something spooky. So I may hit you up too, Annette. And I said that to Victoria as well. I think it'll be kind of cool. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi to one another. Let's see. Oh, Julie Jean Bassett's here saying hello to everyone. You guys, I always give Julie a huge shout out. She's my mentor when it comes to animal communication. I know she's doing some readings even over on Facebook. I think I saw your event for this Thursday, Julie. She also teaches animal communication courses, animal chakras, you name it. She's helped me with many of my animals. She's also a pet medium and healer. So if you want to reach out to her, if you've got an animal that is driving you crazy and you don't know why they're doing what they're doing, Julie is your lady. I am telling you, she's helped many people, including myself. You can reach her on juliejeanbassett.com. She's also an incredible shamanic practitioner and a healer. I've also had a session with her, which was very life-changing. So for the shamanic things, you can reach out to her on whitetailshamanichealing.com. Julie, feel free to put in the chat if you've got some courses, because I think you may have some courses at the end of the month coming up, if I remember. Oh, you got your cup of coffee. Good, Mish. Let's see. We've got Carrie Fast here saying hello, lovely people. Hang on, I'm scrolling. Oh, we got the Oracle of Delphi, Lady D here. Welcome, Lady D. Let's see. We're scrolling. Oh, so Carrie says, hi, Lady D. Every time I see Oracle of Delphi, I think of my Akashic Tarot deck, which has a Delphi card. That's cool. Hang on, I think we're almost at the bottom. We are. Just let me check TikTok, see what's going on over there. Oh, jeepers. Okay, for whatever reason, they're just being nasty over here for some reason. I don't know why, but hopefully you guys will see us over on TikTok. We got not that good. Well, I hope you're better. If you join in here and join us tonight, maybe you'll feel better. So, okay, just before we get started, Annette, Julie just put up, she's got an animal communication workshop, May 23rd and 24th, animal chakra class on May 31st. You guys, I highly recommend you check that out. You don't have to be psychic or a medium to do it. I believe communicating with animals is your birthright. And I'm telling you, you'll meet the nicest people there, and Julie's a great teacher. So welcome. So now you've gone back to your birth name, Annette, because I've always known you. I knew both of your names, but I had asked you, did you want, were you going by Azria or Annette? And you've gone back to Annette. So can we talk about that a little bit? Like, what's made you I didn't even ask you before the show. So what made you
No, it's all good. It's all good. I think it's no, thank you very much. And hi everyone. I think it's to me it's really important because it's all to do with your authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And parts of my name, either my first name or surname, I mean, I can go back 40 odd years and give you the whole kind of like life cycle around the different names and surnames and nicknames and probably other names people have given me in the past as well, but we won't go there. And the surname, my surname, I changed through different things, through marriage and things like that. And then the name Azria came up for me about 20 odd years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's when I started doing readings and healings and things. It's just something that I sort of resonated with a little bit more. And over the past sort of year or two, I've been starting to use it more and more, even in my personal life. But there was always something that didn't quite fit.
Right.
There was always something, to me, that there was always something that was still off. That's the only way to describe it. And with, obviously, you go through like the everyday and you go through your own personal ups and downs and your own kind of like discoveries or dark night of the soul or however people wish to describe it. And certainly for me, over the past sort of 7 or 8 months, that has certainly been the case. And where I thought I was sort of coming out the other side, as it were, there was always something that just didn't feel right. And it was only through, I must, give a shout out to Mum here, as well as all the amazing other family and sisters with Lady D and wonderful other people that I've got around me that kind of helped me bring that authenticity forward. Mm-hmm. Because everything else was lining up, but the words and that name and that frequency of that name no longer fit.
Right.
because obviously when we use words, we're using words have their own energy, have their own frequency. So it's kind of like safe. And I think again, going back to when you did have Mum on a few weeks ago, looking at like the soul planning and things like that. When you come in my experience, when you come into this world, obviously your mum then gives you that name, or your mum and your dad, or whatever the case may be, because you have been in that uterus. You have been like that main connection between you, your mum, and the higher for when your soul comes in. So there is that greater connection around. That name wasn't just sort of picked out of thin air. But unfortunately, as I said, with me, it was always the surname that had changed through the years. And with aligning more to Azria through my healing work and readings and things like that, that always felt real. But then, as I said, over the past few months, that connection wasn't as strong as it was, say, like a year, like 2 or 3 years ago. And when I started playing around with, okay, well, is it Azria or is it Annette? And we can go down, I said, the soul planning route. But me personally, whenever I went back to my original, that name that was given when I actually came down here, something shifted for the better. And so I started playing with it for a little while. I can't remember if it was, I think it's weeks, because it was sort of, and yeah, as soon as that started happening, I mean, you very kindly mentioned about the book there. I mean, the writing went from it's bobbing along quite nicely to like this automatic like downloads and downloads and or transmissions, as I like to refer. And so my journey has certainly been kind of like, what is there another level of stepping into your authenticity, and what do people call you? What do they refer to you as? What do they? And that's kind of been where that's at for me. And I do genuinely really love and appreciate what Azria brought in my life, the people that it did, the experiences, and the point that where it's brought me to. But now I think it's time for the full me to step forward, and the full me that I maybe didn't realize and didn't appreciate for quite a while. And it wasn't necessarily hiding, I don't think. I think it was more, it's the next stage, it's the next development, it's the next evolution. Because I said the surname has changed a little bit, which I can't really go into at the moment, but certainly that differentiation between the Azria and the Annette person.
You know what? I get that. So pin that thought for a sec, because I'm going to ask you. Remember, we just don't have people tuning in that work in our field. So people are going to ask, what's a dark night of the soul? You and I know, but I want to get into the name a little bit before we go there, because the way my name is spelt, I get called the wrong name all the time. And my partner, Dell, gets called the wrong name all the time. People think he's Delbert, Delvin, Dale. He will get every other name under the sun, and it's just Del, same as me. My name is, I am named after, even though we're not German, the German Lorilei or the sirens. I couldn't, if I sang them. For people that don't know the legend, they were these beautiful sirens that used to sing on the cliffs of the River Rhine and lure sailors to their death. It's kind of a morbid name, because if I sang, yes, they would crash, because I cannot sing at all. But the thing is, the way my name is spelt, and I've seriously considered this, like, because I want to go to a domain name, and that's what stopped me from doing it with the website, because people can't spell my name, first of all. Most people can't say it. Most people call me the wrong name, and they don't do it purposefully, but they do. And I've even considered thinking, do I go to Lauralee so people will say it correctly, but that's not who I am. And I'm a big proponent of authenticity. I think that, especially in the field that we're working in, right? And I really understood what you said, why you've gone to Annette because we're on a journey here, right? And the amount of healing and where we're going and what, it was the time to reclaim that name back. Would I be right in saying that?
Oh, 110%.
Mm-hmm.
110%, because that was the person that came in.
Yeah.
And I agree with you with like the spelling and things like that, is that yeah, I mean, mine's been spelled I think Anet or Anett.
We have a question.
Oh, so many different ways.
Okay, so Mish is asking, curious Annette,
Yes.
could you change
Yes.
your vibration by I'm just reading it because there's a lot of people listening, so they won't see the question. It's not your fault. I'm just saying it. So people are wondering, well, I can see the question on the screen while you're reading it. Could you change your vibration by removing either an A or T or drop the E?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because obviously the different letters have the different vibrations. And even if you go into like numerology, if like the two sorry, I can't remember the letters the lady said, but like if you have like the two N's, the two T's, and the two
Yep.
E's, if you then take one out, you're reducing that number. But again, I do slightly point back to when Tina Beckham was on, so when Mum was on early, more around like soul planning and stuff. But I genuinely agree with the fact of if the name is spelt differently, because I think she kind of mentioned around like if I'm just trying to think, if you spell like Tony Tony or Tonie or Toni, again, that will have a different vibration, that will have a different and I just personally didn't really see it, didn't really align with it myself. And because I think one of the reasons, like with Annette as well, was like it's very difficult to reduce it down. Sometimes you get Anne if you're lucky, but I think there's so many people out there where there we go.
Hi, Tina. Were your ears burning?
Your ears must have been burning a little bit.
Yes.
So, but it has been it's been empowering. It has been I didn't quite appreciate how much of a change within me. I said that my sessions have become stronger. I feel I've become stronger within myself. People say that they've noticed sort of changes as well for the better. But it does feel as though I've returned.
Yeah, because I think, Mish, I think her comment, she said, I bet you've grown into it. I'm going to say hi to a few people that popped in here. We got Julia Evans joining us over in the UK as well. That's where Azri is. I know it's late. So thank you to, and Tina Beckham is in the chat. That's your mom. And she's been on. She did a soul plan for me on here, which was incredible and so accurate. And I will be having her back on again. Absolutely. I don't know why they've got this stupid square with it right when you go up and down with the chat, you guys, so forgive me if I'm all over. We also got Joanna Garfield McNally joining us. Thank you. I want to give Michelle Wilfong a huge shout out. She joined us over on TikTok. She's my mod over there. She does such an incredible job, you guys. She lives in a haunted apartment and she documents with video of some of the activity that goes on where she lives. So please check her out on TikTok on her channel called My Haunted Apartment. But yeah, that's the problem, right, with the name. And I'm seeing so many people in here saying the same thing. Like Kiara Jade is saying she gets called Kara. I know I got to go up here. We've got over on Twitch scammers over there. Mish says my daughter's name is Danica. She gets a few different names. There was another one here I wanted to grab up too. Hang on, where did it go? Carrie, she says my daughter's name is Asha because in 2002, so many kids were named Ashley. She still gets called Ashley or even Aisha. And you know what? You're right, because in many of the fields that we're in, it is important. Even with the Akashic Records, when I do an Akashic Record session, I need the full name that you use. And say you've been married or you've been divorced, it's a name you're going by in that time, but I need the exact spelling. I need all of that, right? So it's very important. That's why I haven't changed my name either. I really wrestled with it. I used to hate my name growing up too, because nobody was named Lorilei when I was growing up. Nobody. So it was a weird name. But I wanted to ask you, even if you still want to go a little bit further with the name stuff in a minute. You mentioned Dark Night of the Soul. There are going to be people out there listening that have no idea what Dark Night of the Soul is. So would you mind, because I know you'd mentioned it, so would you mind explaining a little bit about that?
Well, I think for a lot of people it can mean a slightly different thing. But for me personally, it was going basically as deep into my energy, my psyche, my past as possible, and just having a clear out. Is going in there and actually seeing what is the root of maybe the blockages, maybe what is the is there any stuff left over from like maybe like a past life or something like that you could do with clearing. Is though Dark Night of the Soul to me is kind of like, you know, in those old cartoons where the guy's carrying like the big bag of rocks on his back, and like the Dark Night is where you kind of open the big bag of rocks and you're like, right, what trash can I get out of here? In order so that the bag isn't so heavy, so that it will help you move forward.
And you're right, it is different. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, sorry.
I got a bit of a delay. It's my fault. All I was going to add, it is different for every person because people I've worked with, I've been through it myself. Many of us have in this field. I have found too that the Dark Night of the Soul can be that you are at the lowest point in your life. Like everything you knew or believed to be true, everything you knew you thought was status quo, and it all gets shooken up, like, if you will, that bag on your back. And it's like, if you don't open it, right, eventually the universe, spirit, whatever you want to believe, will help you open it. And then
they'll open it.
Yes. And it's like, oh my gosh, like you don't know which way is up, you don't know what's going on. And it's like, what do I do? And then you have to go within, and then you start unpacking that bag, and then you start that healing. And same thing, but it means different things for different people, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Because as you said, at the end of the day, it's we are obviously moving forward, and sometimes there is that little bit of clearing. There is that clearing to do, because as you said, especially like with this time of awakening as well, we don't necessarily want to be dragging all of that with us, but because the world is changing, you're like, okay, well, I can see the way forward, and I'm kind of accepting this whole new world, but actually I can't move because I've got maybe old belief systems or whatever the case may be. And I mean, you don't just have to go through it once, as you very rightly said there. It's kind of like you've done it once before, maybe twice before. And I mean, I know with my past, I've had huge amount of like trauma, manipulation, and so on and so forth. So it wasn't necessarily like my first rodeo, but it was. And obviously doing the energy work I've been doing for years, and readings and healings and all that fun stuff. Everyone says, oh, well, you've been doing that, surely you're absolutely fine. No, not necessarily. You're still kind of human at the end of the day. And that's kind of a part of the authenticity that I wanted to bring forward, is that, you know what, this is, and that's kind of what's in the book as well. That's why it's kind of like part memoir, because there is that point of, you know what, it does go like this.
Because it's the right timing. It's the right timing. Sorry, I was just going to add, it's the right timing, right? Like now, you know, you were grateful for what the name Azria brought you, but now it seems right, and like you said, it feels more authentic to go back to your birth name of Annette.
Yes.
But a healing journey, like I love what Carrie wrote. She said rock bottom has a basement, for FYI, and then she put LOL, but it's true. But I love what you're saying as well, because, you know, some things are just, especially when I've had a childhood with quite a few things as well, as many of us have in this field, I have found. And some of it's just too painful to unpack. So you've almost got to do it in layers, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Carrie, I did not see your words, Sarah, and I just said that when you typed it. Carrie said, yes,
we're all on the same page.
Yeah, it's layers, and nobody will understand until they experience it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And you guys, healing, I consider healing a lifelong journey, right?
Mm,
Because again, if you've had a lot of trauma or a lot of really difficult things, especially in the younger years of your life, it takes courage, it takes honesty. You always talk about, not so much on air, but when I'm working with clients or teaching, that you've really got to, it's always so easy to see what the issue is. I always say standing on the outside looking in, say a friend's going through something, but when it comes to ourselves, the amount of courage it takes and honesty to hold up
yeah.
that proverbial mirror and really be honest and look, right? And see what those issues are. And sometimes we just can't see them. And then that's where they go
Mm,
and work, say, with someone like
mm,
you or your mom or myself or other people that do this work that
mm.
may be able to assist.
Oh,
Hmm.
absolutely. And I mean, one of the greatest things that I've discovered as well is that um, when yourself and that lady was saying around layers, I mean, there was a point a number of years ago where I thought, you know what, dealt with everything, fantastic. I'm moving on. I'm moving on up. This is great. But then it was only later on when my nervous system had really, so here was doing okay, but actually the nervous system was still kind of in that fight mode because it gave fight or flight. And it was only when the nervous system started settling down where I really started unpacking. And to be honest, a little bit of that was through a bit of therapy as well, which I always highly recommend, because talking it out, especially if you're kind of like maybe a bit neurodivergent as well, because that language and that talking um, to someone is really great. But then as soon as like the nervous system kind of gets into that mode of, oh, I'm safe, then stuff that maybe you didn't even realize was there. Because I had memories come up years later.
I'm
Oh,
smiling
oh
because
yeah,
I
no,
just
that
literally said
happened.
this last night. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. I just said
Yeah.
this last night. Why does it take so long for things we buried as a child? More and more people I talk to, myself included, we
Mm,
start to get those flashbacks usually in about the mid 40s and onwards, it seems. It starts to come up. Please continue, though. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Oh, again, from personal experience, I thought, where the hell did that come from? But also, I like to think of it in a slightly nicer way as well, because as much as kind of like you're clearing, kind of like remembering those, because as you remember them, you talk it through, as you said, dark night of the soul. You deal with it, it's gone. Then that just makes room for new. It's almost as though you are, as I said, clearing that backpack out to actually start putting all the new memories, all the new feelings, all the new beliefs in. Because as I said, when all my stuff bubbled to the surface, um, as I said, it was the case of, oh, yeah, I thought I dealt with that. Or, oh, yeah, no, I really, really remember that I need to do something with it. But most importantly, I started also remembering some of the good stuff. So, like again, in I refer back to the book, like in the I think at the first chapter, which is the slightly memoir bit, there was experiences of beings and that in my room that I, I could see as if it happened yesterday, but I haven't sort of thought or about that for quite some time, because everything was pushed down. It's kind of like, no, I'm going to remember everything in my childhood later. I don't want to know it, like pushing it back down in the bag.
Hmm.
But that also includes some of the good stuff too.
I literally had this conversation last night with, I think it was, yeah, it was with Dell. And I was thinking too, like again about why does it come up later in life? And maybe it's just at the place we are in our life that we know physiologically, psychologically, every mind, body, soul is maybe in a place to better be able to start unpacking it. Right. But I was thinking about this too with memories of childhood. Except for really momentous things, yeah, there's a lot of things of childhood I don't necessarily remember either. And again, when you live a difficult childhood, right, it's a protection mode to kind of bury it too. So you can see why it
Yeah,
comes in layers. Yeah. Hmm. Definitely.
definitely.
Um, I'm just checking TikTok here. I how could I forget you guys? May the fourth be with you. The force, we'll have the force with us tonight.
Wonderful.
So, you gave me some topics because you and I can talk about anything. Same as your mom, I could talk to you guys for hours whether we're on air or off air. But you said let's talk a bit about, because I believe this is something I haven't had a chance to read your beautiful book, but I plan on. But you said shift for yourself. You're shifting from star lineages or the
Mhm.
DNA to archetypal frequencies. Can you explain that? Because and remember, it's kind of like it's not your fault because we're used to having these communities, right, where we just all get in and we all speak the same lingo. There could be people tooling around on YouTube halfway across the
Yeah.
world going, well, this looks interesting, what are they talking about? So can you explain that? Like, what does that mean for you? Where is this book? Because I know you evolved the last time you came on from what you were doing when I'd first seen the work you were doing. So please share with us.
No, thank you. So I'll kind of do like a little bit of a history thing first, and then go from there. So the book is out on the 8th, so it's on Friday. So as soon as it's released, I will send you a copy.
Oh, I'm
So
so
this is kind
excited.
of like pre-launch or something. Anyway, but a lot of the work that I've been doing over the past 8 years is really being a sensitive all my life and picking up on so much. I kind of started to tune that in a number of years ago, and dial into what are the frequencies that I was actually picking up. And there I was really understanding how really comes from dowsing and pendulum work. It said I picked up my first pendulum when I was like 12 or something.
Oh,
And
wow.
that where the pendulum doesn't necessarily give you the answer. It's your body itself, your energy field that's picking it up. So those frequencies that I was tuning into between the person who I was reading and the outer field were in the individual star races, so Pleiadian, Arcturian, and such. And when I first started presenting this work, my understanding was when I was picking up on those frequencies, I understood them as those particular races.
Mm-hmm.
Those particular race of beings that you were connected to, hence it being a lineage. So it being a part of your family, as it were, your galactic family. So you were basically part, I don't know, Pleiadian or Arcturian. I know I've had the absolute pleasure of said during your what it was called at the time, alien DNA report, in the last show, which was fantastic.
I know you got Byron. I know you did.
Yeah, which was wonderful. And what I understood then
Mm-hmm.
was the case of, again, that it was linking into those beings directly. How the work has now evolved is not necessarily that. I'm not saying that you are linked to the Pleiadians or the Arcturians, because there's the dominant frequency, and then there's potentially the lighter frequencies underneath. You can have 2, 3, or 4. But if we look at it from a broader perspective into that unified field, so that unified field is basically like the biggest library in the world, where every single thing that has happened is in there. And then if we have what is called our junk DNA, which again I've been speaking about for some time, but again where the work's gone on, we're now referring to elements of the junk DNA as a fractal antenna. And that is your connection. That is kind of like where your telephone line goes from your body up into the unified field. So what you were referring to then is the archetypal intelligence is now the evolution of that star lineage, because I'm not necessarily saying you are part of, or you are a Pleiadian or your star lineage is a Pleiadian. What I'm now understanding through all the work I've been doing over the past few months, including some of the scientific research that slightly backs this up, even though some of it has been predated some time back now, where people were sort of poo-pooing it a little bit, but are now actually seeing that actually what those guys were saying a few years back is real, is that those frequencies that I was talking about years ago that I'm dialing into isn't necessarily the star being races themselves. It is using the language that we're tuning into a frequency that resonates within that consciousness of that race. So, because we are the multidimensional being here on Earth, and a lot of the time, myself included, we're always looking external for things, where actually a lot of the information and a lot of what we can do is actually within ourselves. And what our system, whether it be our fractal antenna, our DNA, whether it be within our wider field, has been communicating to that unified field since we've been on this planet. And as sensitives, or as light workers, or as star seeds, or again, just being very aware of opening up the language here. But as I said, even like with myself when I was really young, picking up on so much that some days you just really wanted to press that off button.
Yeah.
Because, but again, back then it didn't have language. So I'm really hoping that through the evolution of this work, it starts to, I'm not saying it's going to answer all the questions, but in a way that it's exploring the possibilities that may start to give language to what people are experiencing, and not just going, right, well, this is the human and there's the star being over there. It's the case of this is the human, and we can then access so much information, so much different levels of consciousness, because that is where the observer effect comes in, because all of that is already out there. So what we're doing is, when we, as I like to call it, sending out the telephone line, going, right, what is it that I'm actually connected to? And we put our awareness onto it, we can actually start using it.
Oh, wow.
Because in this time of like awakening and awareness, I think it is so highly, important and fascinating and exciting that we're in this time that a lot of us have been waiting for, because we've been feeling a lot of this for a long, long time. That we can actually start going, yes, that's what I've been feeling. That's who I am. Because I think over the time, the language is going to change. But at this moment in time, our connection is that, sorry, I do keep on looking at the name, architectural intelligence, which is out there. So we've moved from being a star lineage, going, that's my family, but they're out there somewhere. But that's not one thing. The one last thing I'll just say is that I'm also saying that these beings themselves are there. You do have the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Sirians, and so on and so forth. Absolutely. And they also work within, guess what? Their unified field. They also know how to work with it, manipulate it as well. So
I hear it. I'm just reading
the frequency of the beings themselves. And that's the difference.
Yeah, because people are understanding what you're saying. I'll get to their comments in just a sec here. And guys, I apologize. I've got a bit of a delay, so it'll seem like there's a pause and then I'll go to talk. So I apologize for that. So first one I'm going to read is from your beautiful mom. And she says it took Annette to move forward with her talents that Azria could never work through her challenges to achieve her spiritual goal. I appreciate that. That explains it beautifully. Thank you for that one, Tina. Hang on. Gosh, this thing is a pain in the butt. Right where the arrow is to move up and down the chat, you've got this big box with a line through it. I don't StreamYard. What are you doing?
Technology.
Hang on. Okay. So, because I want to go back to Mish. This was a little bit ago that you'd put down. I just want to see, maybe it'll come up in our conversation here. I'll go to Carrie's first. So Carrie is saying, DNA is a ladder. Once you can untangle this by removing quantum entanglement with other energies, this allows one to ascend. Jacob's ladder is a term used in the Bible context.
Yeah, and I would, it's wording put in a different way, but I would absolutely agree, because when we're looking at it from two aspects, so that when the lady's talking about the quantum and entanglement there, to me, that's when I was referring there to the sensitives who can hear and feel so much at a time. So if we're looking at ourselves as, again, something I've always said, as the radio. Mm-hmm. So if you then start tuning that radio in a little bit, so doing the breath work, having a look at the nervous system, are you in fight or flight mode, things like that. So if we then start maybe tuning that radio station in, then yes, absolutely, we can make those signals very, very clear. We know what we know what we're looking at, because actually, what is the connection between us and there? So thank you so much for that comment, because to me that makes perfect sense. It's the map. All it is out there between us and them. It's kind of like we're the compass on the map. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the part of the entanglement, because where before and for a very long time, there's been people who have been going around and completely not aware of it. But then there's others who have been aware of so much more than they even are aware of. So been able to slow down, tune in, and I'm not saying you have to spend like hours and hours in meditation, not by any stretch, but so thank you for that comment, because to me that makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And even when I know and I'm not the only one, there's many that are doing this, but when I work with students, explaining to them that like attracts like energy on this planet. Now, even though we're not on world here with what we're trying to connect with, it's almost, if you will, the way it's being spirit showing me, like I've never liked that word junk DNA, just because you can't figure out what it's for. Does it God, God, the universe, your maker, source, whatever you believe it is, you weren't created with junk, first of all. Second of all, it has a purpose. It's just science, I believe, hasn't figured out what it is. And as we're starting to catch up, we're recognizing how powerful and important this so-called previously named junk DNA actually is. So to me, it's almost like the way I'm seeing it is creating almost like a telephone link, if you will, yes. Right? Because even when we're working with teaching people to connect with their abilities, with source, with the other side, with angels, with their guides, whatever it is, to have that right frequency. The radio's the same way, right? You have to be on the right frequency, turning the knob to be able to receive the symbol, a signal. And then once you do, you're good, you're golden, as long as you keep it tuned in, right? It comes in nice and clear. And just imagine the information, or you want to look at TV or a documentary, whatever you do, once you're tuned in to where you want to go to as well, right? Like, working even with the TV, tuning into the programming that you want to watch. Maybe you want to get some information about something, being able to tune into it. So it's incredible that your work is evolving this way. There is a question though that I'm going to throw in here from Mish. It was earlier because I think it's a good question. She says, I wonder if Earth is the only place we can truly heal, hence why we keep coming back. I know what the answer is, but I want you to answer because I know you've got tons of info on it too.
So I wonder if Earth is the only place we can truly heal, hence. That is a really good question.
Do you want me to go first while you think about it?
Yeah, you can, because to me, that's got many different things, because while we're actually here, obviously we're making that karma, we're making those memories, we're picking up that baggage, if you like, but then you can also look at it from a soul contract perspective. So yeah, I'd open it back up to yourself.
So to me, no, Earth isn't the only place. And I always try to explain to people too, that the way we look at things while we're here I'll take myself, for example, Lorilei. Lorilei is not who my soul is. I've just agreed to drive this vehicle, if you will, that is Lorilei while I'm having this human experience. The way Spirit showed it to me, there are miles and miles and miles and miles of souls waiting, wanting to incarnate here on Earth, because it's one of the hardest places, I understand, to incarnate. But you have the biggest potential to be able to clear some of that karma you've accrued from previous lives. You come in here, most of us, with spiritual amnesia, meaning I've named it that, but it's not my name. But what I'm saying is you don't remember, most of us, what our previous lives were, what we've learned, who we really are as a soul. There's so many, you come in these dense, heavy, fragile bodies. Human beings have never, ever, ever been shown or taught, I believe, to understand how truly, incredibly, magnificently powerful we are. And I forget, I was talking to Dell about this the other night. I forget what the example was. And, I know what it was. No, it wasn't Dell, it was another friend. We were talking about dissociative identity disorder, or it used to be called multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
I never learned this in university as a registered nurse. I've since learned it over the years, that when people have been through a lot of trauma, for people listening, maybe don't know what it is in a nutshell. A child's been through a lot of trauma, and they're able to actually, come out of body. And I'm really oversimplifying it, but many different personalities can develop. Where I'm going with this is they have seen that, and it's called an alter, the other personality. An alter has a completely different name, different age, different sex, everything. But they've seen this, for example, if you have an alter that is severely diabetic, for example, you will need, when you were in that personality, insulin. You will need all the things you would need if you were severely compromised or medically compromised individual diabetes. Yet the person who originally, will take Lorilei, for example, I don't have DID, but that's my name I was born with. I don't have diabetes, but if I had this problem, and say I was, I don't know, Phil, and I was coming through as a 73-year-old male with severe diabetes, my blood work will even show that I have diabetes. So where I went with this is how incredibly powerful our minds are. Who we are, our words, our thoughts. And I could talk about this for hours, but we've never been taught to understand who we really are and how incredibly gifted. I could go on and on. I'll stop because I know I'm hearing you've got lots to say about that.
Yeah, no, I'm probably sitting here like a nodding dog, because I absolutely agree. And I think with where you were saying our potential, I think, is absolutely key. And this is where, sort of within the book, it's more of an exploratory way in saying this is potentially what our potential could be. Because actually, if we are having that signal, if we, as I said, got that signal going in to the unified field, and it's been doing it even though we haven't been aware of it.
Yeah.
And then if we then become aware of it, we bring in the observer effect, and then we go, oh, okay. So if that's where if that's the frequency I'm tuned into, let's see what is the behaviors there, what are the talents there, what are the powers there, what are the abilities there, that I can now, if so, for example, I say, okay, well, the one of the frequencies I'm picking up is X, Y, and Z. You go, right, okay, yeah, that aligns with me. That feels right. I mean, I do occasionally have somebody go, yeah, that's okay, but then like 3 or 4 days later, give me a call and went, Annette, you said, which is always really funny. I'm sure you get the same as well. But we kind of get the whole, we can then look and see the fact of, if we can then are aware and bring that observer effect into play and go, right, well, if that's the frequency I'm picking up on, let's run with it. Let's see what's down here. Because again, like you were saying earlier, around it's all within. So yes, we're talking about connecting to something up there, but actually you're bringing it into here, and it's your alignment, it's your authority, it's your being. And it's saying, right, okay, so let's see whether there might be a bit more telepathy. Maybe there might be more healing. Maybe there might be more pattern recognition. It's all of these types of abilities that are really starting to come to the forefront, because we are so tuned in, again, using that analogy of the radio, to what else this multidimensional human is capable of. And a part of what is mentioned in there is just an element of that possibility, because I think we are scratching the surface. I think we've been scratching it for quite some time with like amazing people like Bruce Lipton and others, who even now are saying, like, for an example, the memories and everything we're holding from other galaxies and stuff, and it's just so much information is what I'm trying to get at. Sorry, my words are running away with
You know
me a
what?
little
You're
bit.
not wrong though, because as a nurse, even I've seen this, and before you'd only see you thought you might see it, and it was a really incredible phenomena at the time when somebody had an organ transplant, and all of a sudden we're having memories and physiological responses and all kinds of things that they never experienced before the transplant. And where does this come from, right? But now I've seen it with people even who have had a blood transfusion. So again, if everything's energy, where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
and we're not tapping into this connection where your work is going, for example, we're just in the human field, for example.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with it. How incredible and powerful isn't the word. I never liked that word because to me it seems very ego centered, and it's not. But I just don't think we recognize how lucky we are. And I always say I wish I would have read the fine print. Believe me, guys, I do. But to be here, how many souls would love to come here, and then to be able to do the things we're doing. And I agree that we're just scratching the surface, because we've always been led to believe that there's no validity in anything unless it's been proven by science. But you know what? I think people are starting, like with the awakening, to recognize that it doesn't have to be proven by science. I want to read your mom's comment here. She said, I think Earth School is a place where we not only heal, but learn lessons that allow us to evolve spiritually to a greater extent on Gaia than we would on another plane. That's so beautifully said. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, agreed.
Hi, Michelle. I see you popping in. Another Michelle. That's my cousin. She's popping in, so I'm glad to see her here. But yeah, so again, that's interesting the way your work is evolving, and it's so hard to put into words. I can feel it, I can see it, but it's almost like, well, you used to use, because I have one of them here. Where are you? But I don't have it on a chain. I call it the unicorn horn, but it's the unifier, isn't it?
Oh, I love it.
You used to use
beautiful
with your work, but now you don't even need this anymore, and more races you're making the connections with, aren't you?
Yeah, so with Yeah, thank you for showing that. So with the unicorn horn, I said it was on a chain, so it was in a way acting as a pendulum. So as I said, I picked up my first pendulum when I was 12, and I'm not going to say how many years ago that was. But starting to tune into your intuition more, because if you look at like I mean, people call it different names, but I understand it's like quantum dowsing. You're really kind of using your body and your energy field as the pendulum. And don't get me wrong, I still do pick the unicorn horn up now and again, because there are just so many um, different frequencies that are coming through. And if we look at the different beings, some of the beings don't even have what we class as names, they're sounds as well. And sometimes it's more, again, that observer effect. Sometimes it's even information and images that come down once I tune in as well to somebody's field. So I do, as I said, pick up a pendulum, whether it be the unicorn horn or sometimes as kind of like a clarification almost. It's kind of, okay, well, I'm getting this through. What is, can I have, as I said, it's always been that triangulated approach. As I've said, it's the person, it's the movement, it's the feeling. Because to me, even when I started this work, one result was never good enough. Sorry. Like, yeah, could, if you're having a little bit of an off day, you could read a bit different. So it's always a triangulated approach. So sometimes, yeah, you do kind of need it's kind of like going to the doctor and getting a second opinion. You've got the feeling inside you from what you've actually tuned in. You've got and then the movement. You got the movement in yourself. You've got the visuals. Because as I said, working with the team of intelligence that I do, sometimes if it's a particular being or a particular lineage or a particular race, I kind of get, do you know, in like Star Wars, I don't know if you guys get it too, but you know in Star Wars, like R2D2 has projects Princess Leia, and it's kind of like a hologram. That's how I kind of get the images sometimes. So you get the movement, you get the images, you get the feeling. But then when it's not coming through as clearly, again, using the selenite, because it has got those amazing properties, just helps. Again, it's tuning in the radio. Again, if we look at like radios from like years back, sometimes you needed like an extra antenna on top of the antenna, that kind of thing. And the pendulum is me putting an extra antenna on top of the antenna.
I hear you. Good. I'm sorry I was muted because I don't know if you guys heard that horn honking. It was honking. It just stopped. Sorry. I was listening to you. Did I lose my, I almost, now my computer went black on me. It's like, well, everything's going wrong at once here. I'm sorry, Azria. Annette. See, I almost called you at Azria when I'm not paying attention here. Hang on. I will get it right, believe me. Because I was just texting going, who is doing that? Because I thought, how am I going to talk to you? This horn is going. It was going so loud. I'm sorry. So I was glad you were talking, and I was listening, and I was trying to text at the same time, going, go find out whose horn is going on.
Queen of multitasking. I love it.
Yes. When you've got a neurospicy brain all over the place too.
Like, which one do I focus on first?
Well, yeah. Well, I left it, and I thought, because normally if that happens, right, people will go out and turn off the horn. But like this, it must have been honking for like a good 3-4 minutes straight. Oh, well, now it's turned off. Hopefully it doesn't go back on again. Hopefully not. So hang on here. So do you want to tell people again what the name of your book is? That do you have a copy with you?
I have an editor's copy, so it's got a great big line through it. But as I said, it's out on Friday.
But can you see the cover? If not, I've got it. Yeah, because I've got a picture.
Yeah,
I've got a picture.
Go. I said, yeah, it's got not for sale, not for resale, because it's the editor's copy. But it's The Frequency of Truth: Exploring Consciousness, Coherence, and the Hidden Architecture of the Multidimensional Human. So it is a bit of a mouthful, but the main title is The Frequency of Truth. And that is really kind of going in the frequency of your own truth. I'm not telling you within this what you are, who you are, how you do it, why you do it. This is just for me giving through my own journeys. Because again, being like you just mentioned there, neurodiverse as well, having these experiences and sensitivities ever since I can remember. Then there was no language for it. So it was kind of having that progression and evolution over the time. As I said, when we sort of first met quite a while ago, I said the work was very different. And then, as I said, within here, it's looking at that possibility again with a little bit of science to back it up. I mean, I haven't gone out and read document after paper after that. I mean, I'm dyslexic. Reading isn't my strongest point, but the little bit that I have kind of gave me the words to start understanding. Like, as I said, DNA being a fractal antenna, fractals are again all over this planet. Like I was describing on the show earlier, like it's a tree, so you've got the trunk and then it goes off to the branches and so on. So it's that ever growing map, if you like. So it's really going down to the heart of it, because as much as I could feel these things and do these things, my brain kept on going, well, that's all well and good, but how the bloody hell do you do it?
Yeah.
So it was then looking at, okay, so what are the mechanisms, or what are other people saying of how we connect? And yes, there is this big other consciousness out there, and people talk about like the collective consciousness, for an example. Well, then you're looking at the unified field, the collective consciousness, but then there's the intelligences within that. And so this basically maps what I believe maps that out, but using a very exploratory way as well. And the last thing, if I could say, is, as I said, I'm not a great big one for reading, and this is quite a hectic thing, but I really hope, and I'd love people's reviews on the fact that it's laid out in quite an easy read way. It's not a book that you read from beginning to end and suddenly go, oh, that's it. It's one that you can pick up like one chapter and then read a few lines and paragraphs and things, because there is not one bit in this book that's like a huge, great big chunk of text. Because trust me, if I see a book like that, I'll put it down.
Well, especially when you're talking about topics like this, right? It can get heavy if you wrote a really technical book. So it's good that it's easy to digest in chunks.
I hope so.
Plus, the other thing I was going to add too that I got from Spirit when you were speaking is, even like you said, you got a bit of science to back it up, but and again, I don't want this to come across as arrogant to anybody listening to this, but when you're connecting with Spirit and you're connecting with, I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but off-world positive beings, if you will, things that we can't necessarily see with our eyes, but we can feel the difference when it comes with love and it comes with truth. And especially when you've been doing it since a child, as you and I have, all of us have, I believe all children are connected. And for whatever reason, many of us forget that connection, but it's like riding a bike. You can get back on and practice and connect and grow and evolve. But where I'm going with this is you can trust the information that you receive. I really believe that you can know the difference.
110%. That's why I was always doing what I was doing and working with I call them the scholars or the council.
I was just going to ask you about them. So
the levels of like the different intelligences, or the team or the group that I work with, definitely. I mean, as I said, having those experiences for quite some time, I knew what I was getting. I know that when I was sharing the information, that the people that I was sharing it with, the friends and clients and things, that the alignment and the validation, what it gave them with the information that was coming through was incredible. But I always had that question of how. And then, so working again with the team, it was almost like I said I think it's the acknowledgement bit. Not only did they point, I believe, sort of pointed me in the right direction in order to get the words. Because I said it was never a case of I needed to confirm what I was doing was right. I always knew that.
Mm-hmm.
What I was tuning into and bringing through.
Well, you do.
Was always, I always trusted. I mean, that's probably a whole different can of worms that we could go down there in regards to the different energies.
Well, that's the problem, though. There needs to grow and evolve and trust that you're receiving. Because I guarantee you, when you make that connection, anybody out there listening, you will realize, and I was the same, that holy cow, I've been doing this my whole life. I've been connected to this my whole entire life. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know what it meant. But I'm telling you, like, I felt such a call, and don't get me wrong, my Akashic Records mentor is incredible, and she helped me make that connection. But I felt a real call always towards the Akashic Records. So my first course I took, it was quite a few months, and got my certificate. And then, but what I realized was exactly that. I remember sitting there one day going, holy cow, I've been doing this my entire life. I didn't know what it was. Right?
That's it. Yeah.
We don't get taught this. So, to get a book like what you've written, to be able to start to put some of those pieces together and make that connection is so powerful, because I think we all are connected. We just don't realize we
100%.
are.
100%. And I mean, me doing this and doing the work, it's not necessarily to say kind of like, look at me, I'm special, I'm the only one who does this. Not by any feat.
I agree.
This is, as I said, my experience put into words, which I really hope that, as I said, to the people that pick it up, and even if 2 or 3 pages, something lands and something feels right, then you know what, I've done my job. Because it's knowing that you're not, especially maybe, I'm going to say people of my age or who have kind of been doing this for a long time, and you think even as you're a kid that you were broken because why isn't everyone else feeling this and I am?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I press the stop button on this thing? Or why am I walking into a room and crying and everyone's looking at you going,
You're just reading my mind. I was just thinking that, hearing my whole, as a child, you're too sensitive. What is wrong with you? You stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. And it was like, there's nobody else like this.
No one else feel that. Yes. Where's the off switch?
Yeah.
So that's why I mean, it's a little bit of a memoir to say, you know what, maybe other people have been experiencing this. And this is what you have potentially been tuned into. But most importantly, this is maybe how you can start working with it and utilizing it. Because we're going into a time, and we are in a time that's absolutely incredible. So staying curious, I think, is one of the most amazing things that you can be. Because it's always questioning, because you know what, we're still really, really evolving. And I think the ones who've been sensitive for so long, we're now going into that world. And I'm not going to start crying like I did earlier, but we're now going into a world that we've been waiting for, because we sit in here. We're not sitting in here or in here. And that's what I hope that some of what I've put in here kind of gives you that map, or starts, even if it just starts giving you that little bit of a map to go, right, okay, what she said in, I don't know, chapter 12, page 7, in that paragraph there, just blew my mind, made everything make sense. Then fantastic.
We got a bunch of people I've just been waving at on the screen. We got channeled by Angel. Hi, everyone. So welcome. Um, there was a comment here by Carrie, and it was a beautiful comment. She said, lately, I've been connecting to my inner child to give me confidence of what I witnessed and believed so transparently and pure uh, as a child does. This is confirmation of my soul path. Thank you for sharing that, Carrie. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Hmm. No, and that, and like you said, so many thoughts were going. I was going to grab a piece of paper, but even the way we connect, and we are getting into more and more with AI, and harder and harder to discern what's real and what's not at times.
Mm.
But one of the things that, and we've seen it sometimes in movie, I think it's Minority Report, where they have the triplets that precognitively um, predict crime before it happens, for example, and stuff. But where I'm going with all of this is I feel like we're moving into a different time where there's going to be a lot of people that are connecting with their intuitive abilities. They're waking up, they're realizing. But I feel like or with AI though, where I'm going with this is the people that make these beings, if you will, that are AI. We can even use Star Trek if you want, for example, Data. I mean, that might be thousands of years away, but there'll be one, mark my words. But one of the biggest things that's been shown with the ladies and I that connect together and get together and connect with the other side is they can't figure out how we do what we do, meaning that we are able to connect with spirit. We are able to connect telepathically with off-world beings and with what have you. And so if someone asked you or asked me or asked someone else, how do you do that? We'd all do it completely differently and probably not even really be able to explain, because can you really explain how you do it? It's like, no, it's just always been there and I've always done it. Because I think there's something big coming. And I'm not going to really get real conspiracy. I'm not trying to be negative or anything. There's something weird going on with a lot of scientists about that are really connected to, disclosure and things like that. But I think something big is coming. Like, I don't know. Do you feel that too from off world, or do you feel like, and if you can't say, that's okay too. But I kind of feel like it's coming. We're going to make that connection soon.
Sorry, make that connection to our
Well, I don't
to
know if they're going to disclose themselves physically. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of, you may not have heard of it over in the UK, but over here there's a lot of high-tech scientists that are going missing without their watches, without their phones, without everything that they would normally take with them, their wallets. They're just missing. And they all have to do with like off-world beings, with the ufology community, all kinds of things like that. Now, I'm not saying they're connected, but it almost feels like something's coming, and the powers that be are trying to stop it. So I think something's coming. Is where something big is coming, and I don't think it could be stopped. I think it's a good thing. Like, I kind of feel like our off-world beings that we're connected with, are we physically going to meet them soon? I'm trying to be careful the way I'm saying it.
Yes. No, I completely understand. No, thank you for that. No, I've certainly was it David, I can't think of his name, but yeah, there's
Wilcox,
been a number Wilcox and others like that. I mean, yeah, we could go down a whole big so-called conspiracy network with that, but I certainly feel that there is, as you said, maybe one side is trying to take out the other because they don't. Again, it's that area of control. But I think we are at a point where yes, okay,
that's why I brought it up. I think where
the individuals are gone, but actually, what is going to happen is now going to happen.
Yeah.
100%. We have again, you can go back into like the collective consciousness. I mean, the number of people that are so waking up, i.e., who are turning on their radios, who are is so
that's why I brought it up.
And exactly, so that is so huge now. I mean, maybe 5-10 years ago, I mean, you were still kind of like, whispering star seeds under your breath kind of thing. But now, I mean, don't get me wrong, what is happening to these individuals is horrible if you believe the lamestream media, but it's the fact that they are like disappearing and stuff, but their work and their knowledge and everything is very much still there. And I think what the dark side, again, trying to be very careful with what I'm saying,
I call them
is
the
they're absolutely running scared. But I just want to pick up a point where you said about kind of disclosure and actually meeting with our off-world beings. My thought is slightly more controversial, is that, or maybe not controversial is the wrong word, but different. Different. I think we're in disclosure.
I do too.
I think we're absolutely right in it, because I mean, if you think about a few years ago, we wasn't really talking about how openly we are now about beings, about consciousness, about frequency, around epigenetics, around I mean, if you even look at YouTube, for an example, how it's progressed over the years. Yes, okay, there's still that meeting those individuals, but if we're calling ourselves star seeds, then aren't we already one? And again, if we're looking at our DNA, isn't a lot of our DNA a part of those 24 beings that have been on this planet since year whatever it is? So actually physically a being kind of coming down in a craft, stepping off, is, yeah, that will happen. But there are so many different levels of hybrids that are around us now. I mean, look at some of the amazing babies and children that are coming through right now. They have the most extraordinary openness and abilities. You can't tell me that's not.
This one kid I saw, I don't know what's happened to him. He looked like he was about 12 years old. What was coming out of his mouth? I don't think the most evolved genius that had reached 80 years old could have been saying what he was saying. I'm just going to pause for just 1 sec. Mish, thanks for that. You have a pinned post? No, that was just pinned to YouTube to let you guys know we're coming. No, I don't know. I have a feeling I may have figured out what it was, but it doesn't matter. We're still good. That was on TikTok. We're still going. Michelle is over there. Michelle Wilfong. She's sharing the heck out of the live. She's doing all kinds of things over there. We're okay. I was just kind of surprised, and now I think of it, I think I might know what. But it's not my pinned post. But thank you for the suggestion. Oh, we got Kate Sterling here. Hi, Kate. So, well, the reason I brought it up though, because it's not controversial or even different. I agree with you with the fact that yes, everything you've said. But where I'm going with this is, it almost feels like they're trying to close the barn door after the horses left already. Like, we're already there.
I agree.
We're already there. But the thing is, those that are aware that we're already there, no big surprise. But where I'm actually going is, like, there's physical beings from other planets walking amongst us that look different, because I believe we already have physical beings walking amongst us from other planets, but that they will ultimately be able to appear in their true form, and people will be able to accept it, is where I'm going. But I think that's coming very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a part of all of this amazing work that's coming out around frequency is that once you recognize it, and once you feel it, and when you observe it, when you're walking the streets, and when you come into contact with somebody who's at that higher vibration and having that different frequency about them, you'll know.
And your book will, it sounds like
you'll know, because you're already connected that way. So when you have that, I use the term person loosely, in front of you, again, that's why, like, some of these babies, I mean, I look at them on the or children and that are coming, and you look at their energy field, and they're just incredible. They're literally, the other day I was like squinting, this one was so bright. But yeah, as you said, not only that, their frequency is so high.
Even their strength.
aren't
they
quite
seem
at
like
that
old
level yet.
souls coming in to these newborn bodies, like having been the mother of two boys, I had two babies, and worked in the NICU and stuff. And I'm seeing these newborns that are lifting their heads way off their parents' chests, and like they're doing things
Oh,
months in advance that you wouldn't have seen in a newborn even 20 years ago. So
wow.
it can't just be physical. There's got to be more in that package. Like you said, even their
Yeah,
energy fields.
I like that. Yeah.
Oh, it astounds me. Like I am just blown away. Like with some of the things these babes are doing, like newborns, and it's not AI. Like it's even alive. You'll see, and there's no way. Like a newborn, their head takes up most of their body space pretty well, and they don't have the neck muscles. And so these, I don't know if you remember as a little one, if you ever babysat or a younger, young child. I know me.
Mm.
Oh, be careful their head. Be careful their head. Their neck. They haven't got the neck.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, a friend of mine's recently had a
Kids are like
baby.
sticking
Like,
their head
"Ooh."
up, looking
Yeah,
around, or they're wide awake, and you can tell there is not that a baby is unintelligent. I don't mean that, but you can see that wisdom. It's like the thought, like
processing.
it's
Yeah,
mind blowing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you so much for that. I mean, because I haven't had sort of direct contact, so
Mhm.
it really is incredible. But I think there's certainly beings down and around. But I think it's just going to be well, it is such an amazing time and to be awake. And as you said, for those of us who have been sort of our radios have been on full power for a while.
Yeah.
It's nice to now know that we're going into more of this heart coherence world, because as you said, it is going to happen now. However much,
Mhm.
as you said, people are going missing, and the level of control certain governments and things are trying to happen. Actually, when you look at the collective, we're there. Well, not there, but
Mhm. Yeah, but if you even think about it, like I remember, was it almost a year ago, that a bunch of declassified documents had been released on disclosure and UFOs and off-world beings, and it's leaking out, and people are just, oh yeah, we knew about that. Like nobody's
yes,
losing it, right? Like they already knew about it anyway. So I think we're ready for it. And I just feel like something big is coming in a good way. I do. I really, really
yeah,
do. Mm-hmm.
yeah. No, I agree. There is. And even if you look, I think that's where you were saying about AI, but just in technology in general is so incredible that they actually can't hide it anymore. I said all the different sightings, all the different experiences people are having. It's on social media all the time. Yes, okay, there are the AI generated videos and stuff like that, but okay, this is where this is coming in. That's where your own discernment sits as to what is real and what is not, because there's been talk around, obviously, the I think it's the Blue something project where they're going to have like this
Project Bluebeam. I was just thinking about that.
that's the one where they're going to project a craft in the sky and all this sort of stuff. But it's really going back to your own discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. Lovely. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100%. And again, going back to the AI, is that AI can only go so far. And trust me, I was always 100% anti AI. But then, you know what? Sometimes it has one or two uses when
And that's how I feel.
just
It has a use.
a
But
little
what I've
bit.
been seeing, because we're seeing, especially over, I've noticed in Asia, they have and being in not physically working as a nurse, but still staying up on my nursing things. I believe in some of the seniors' homes. I want to say Japan. Please forgive me if I'm wrong, or it could be even China. They have like robots, if you will, that go and sit to keep the elderly company, and they look very
Oh,
human-esque. So that's not such a bad job. But where I'm going with this is, say I truly believe, and again, yes, I know Joe Montaldo, who owns a network, likes to call me conspiracy princess. I don't like the word and he says it jokingly, but I look into these kind of things. I prefer truth seeking, but I believe they got to tell you before they do something if they're planning on doing something not so nice. So you even look at some of these movies. Let's go back even to the Terminator, for example.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but what if, and I don't think I'll be around, maybe I'll be in another lifetime then, but we have technology like that, right? As much as you have AI and you have a robot, right? What's it always going to defer to? Either what it's been programmed to do, what it's learned, what it can research. Whereas versus working with a human being, um, we're able to tune in, right? Tune in to, say, with our antenna, like-minded energy, if you will. Or I always use the example that, say it's going after a criminal. You can go to RoboCop if you want or something, right? And it's always going to go by the rule book, what it's learned or what it's been programmed with. Whereas a human being is completely unpredictable. A human being could go after the same individual and maybe they find out the story why the person did what they did. And they think, geez, you know what? That's terrible. What happened? I'm going to let them go. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, I don't know if they can ever duplicate what we are as human beings with discernment, with connection, with
With
empathy.
empathy.
Yes,
Yeah.
all these things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And I think, I mean, I used to work as a technical data analyst, and I was only at one level, and the guys who I used to work with, what they could do with data was absolutely mind blowing, and programming and coding. So as you said there, to me, it's what's it been coded with? So it's not necessarily the intelligence itself. I mean, the way I'm talking now, this is probably a little bit out of date, but from my experience, it's, as you said, it's not necessarily. I mean, what I've heard is artificial intelligence is starting to learn itself. I mean,
Yep.
even if you have a chat GPT, and you ask one or two questions, and then like 2 weeks later you ask it another question, and it kind of remembers what you said about 2 weeks ago. But it is the people who program it.
Because we're but what I'm going with this is, so a book like yours, if you will, is a map, because I believe that off-world civilizations and populations are eons ahead of us. I always hear, and I'm going to use spirit, that Earth is a young place. We're still learning, we're growing, evolving, whereas off-world planets and beings and things like that, they are eons ahead of us, right? Watching and growing. So to be able to use a book like yours, if you will, to start making those connections for yourself, to be able to grow, evolve. There's so many things we could do, is where I'm going, versus AI. Like, even when you said about the DNA with the junk DNA, I'm thinking, how would they ever program into something like that? And I'm talking a physical being with AI, right? Because I just know from spirit what we've gotten, the group when we connect with the other side, they're desperately trying to figure out how we do what we do as human beings. Like, how do we make a decision? We are completely unpredictable. I just gave that example. Or how do we connect with spirit? Or how do we connect? How are you going to do that? Especially if it is actually encoded in their DNA, is where I'm going with your book. They're not going to be able to put that into AI.
Oh God, no, absolutely not. And again, it is that physical element you just referred there to. You said discernment, empathy, which technology won't have. But when we are talking about, as you said, our off-world friends who they utilize that unified field, we're just learning to know, well, our physicality has always been how can you say, has always been tuned into and has always been sending and receiving. But now we're learning that actually, maybe where AI can't, we can actually utilize that. And again,
that's what I've been trying to say. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, it did take me a moment. But we're using that observer effect in regards to it's there. And then as soon as we put our attention on it, right, okay, well, I want to link into that, and I want to utilize that. I mean, look at what our off-world team does in regards to using, what was it, organic craft, using the frequencies in the field. I mean, they can like jump portals for like within seconds. I mean, we're not that far away yet, but we're not that close yet. But at least being able to utilize basically the one or two in the chat will recognize this, but what are our tools in our toolbox?
Yes, I agree. And I think your book, Where I'm Going, is a vital piece of that toolbox, if you will. Like you said,
Thank
it's
you.
a map. That's where I've been going with this whole conversation, saying that I
Yeah.
think it's one more way to be able to connect with the archetypes, if you will, right? To be able to make that connection. Because like I say, I never liked that, even in university as a nurse, taking anatomy and physiology. Well, they think, we've got junk DNA. And I always thought we can't possibly have junk DNA. Because to me, the word, unless I'm perceiving it incorrectly, junk would mean leading into disease. It wasn't worth anything, right? Junk. To me, it's like, no, you just don't know what that gene is for yet. You've labeled it as junk. Whereas I think using your book even and putting it into your toolbox will help us also connect with our off-world. I'm going to say family. Family feels right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because also, if you think, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but as we move on and as we evolve, I think was it 12 are switched on, but we've got 24 into the junk.
Yep.
And more are coming online, so more and more of our abilities are. But we can also tune into those additional abilities and information via that fractal antenna.
Right.
Within our DNA, which we've been doing all along. Now we're just bringing the consciousness to make that aware of it in order to utilize it.
I agree wholeheartedly because, like I say, I don't think I've even, out of all I've been on this network, it'll be 7 years in July. And before that, a couple of years, I was on a different network. And then I was even doing podcasting before it was even called podcasting years and years ago. I don't think I've ever heard of a book written like what you have just released. Honestly.
Wow. Thank you.
Groundbreaking. Not that I know what every book is out there, but I don't think I have heard of someone that has written a book like this. And again, and it's a big topic, off-world beings and ufology and what have you. But I think, and I'm going to say this to people, if you can, when it comes out, it's coming out this Friday, I would really recommend checking it out. If you've often wondered, how are you going to connect? We can always, I know that's part of what you do as well with your business, but, by supporting you and buying this book. And like you said, even if a couple pages even resonate, you've done your job.
That's, it just made me tingle. Thank you. Yeah, because again, it was finding language. It was finding the language and to know, okay, well, I'm doing this, but what is it and how is it? And again, it's the type of book that I've written for all kind of abilities and mindsets and stuff. So it's not a deep read. And hopefully starting to bridge that gap as well, because I do it, you do it, everybody does it. And if we are then linking more and more within to our star families, but the key is that it always comes back into you.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I've mentioned this not so much on air but off air, that if you're looking for the answers, don't go outside yourself, because you are the only one that's lived your life. You're the only one that's had the experiences. You're the one that knows you best. But again, I'm going to have you back on, same as your mom, but maybe we can even do a show on this. Is really, like you had said earlier, and it might be a good topic for a show, is helping people start to learn how to trust themselves, because you are the one that has the answers. The answers are within. where we need to go, and we all forget it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've done it too, but to remember that if we could sit quietly and just ground ourselves first, I'd love to be in nature to do this and go within. Sometimes people get the answers when they go to sleep, but going within, you will be the best person to give yourself advice to get the answers by going within. I believe
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I have slightly answered that question a little bit in the book, because, as you said, that trusting element is huge. It's
Yes.
not a little thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That trusting thing. I mean, when, like, again, when you start working with spirit directly, you're like, is that my mind making it up, or is that them saying it?
Mm-hmm.
Again, when I was tuning into the frequencies,
Yeah.
again, this has been going on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And at times I just thought, no, I'm making this up.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
No, I was like, I know I've been working with a pendulum, but no, I'm surely, yeah, that's my hand moving that.
Mm-hmm.
We all do it. But then it's that feeling and think, right, that's no. That feeling is, I know that I trust. And again, right at the back of the book, I give an experience that happened in Portugal, and trust me, that was the one time I trusted beyond anything else of what actually happened, that craft that came down. Because again, that was the time when I was like, you know what, that is what my trust feels like, literally from head to foot.
Wow.
And
I
ever
never
since then,
talked
it's
about that.
been building and building. But yeah, that trust element. And even if you doubt it for a bit, just step back and then try with like smaller things.
Yeah.
Because you don't always have to go in with the big things. Sometimes it's just tiny little things first. Or if you think you're a little bit off balance, remember, it's fine tuning the radio back. Sometimes just fine tuning just takes that tiny little movement of the dial. So even if you're not trusting the bigger things, start trusting a lot of like the smaller things. Even what you eat for dinner, or what the weather's going to be like, or something like that.
And then I always say, keep a record of it, because it's very helpful when you go back. And I agree to start small. I hate to do that. We are out of time, and I want you to have enough time to tell people. I'm good. You know what, you guys, I will have Annette back on. I'm going to have her mom, Tina. She was on The Most Beautiful Souls. I'm so grateful I've met you ladies. And so can you tell them, how do they get a hold of you? Because you also work and mentor with people. How do they get the book? And I promise you guys, I will have Annette back on for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, so alarianresonance.com is the website where I do all my work. The book is out on Friday, the 8th of May. It's mainly through, if I'm allowed to say, Amazon, but it will also be available on my website as well. I also have all my socials at Annette Beckham Official on YouTube, Facebook, and all that jazz. And also I do the blogs once a week on Substack, which is like downloads, parts of the book, etc., which is also fun to keep up if you do like reading. That's very sweet. Thank you. And yeah, so Alarian Resonance is where you'll find everything, or if you want to get hold of me, or yeah, but no, the book will be on Friday. Very exciting.
I'm so excited, you guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron are coming up next with the Light Gate. I want to thank Carnation for sponsoring all the shows here on Monday. We are deeply grateful. If you're out shopping and you need one of the items Carnation provides, please consider supporting them, because they support all the shows here coming to you on UPRN here on Mondays, including my own. I forgot to check to see who's coming on next week. You guys know it's going to be a great guest. It's always a great guest. Also, if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on Facebook.com/The Angel Rock, or any social media platform, either under Lorilei Povtvin or The Angel Rock. I do psychic and mediumship readings. I do energy healing, crystal Reiki. What else do I do? Akashic records. I do teaching and mentoring. And yeah, so stay tuned for Dolly and Preston next. Love you guys. Thank you all for being here. Always. thank you so much, Annette, for being on here. Hang tight for 1 sec, guys. We'll see you next week. All right. Love y'all.